Hello everybody, I'm Chris Buckle and welcome back to another great episode of Chris Buckle's Album Club. Today, as usual with me, I have Ben.
We as a board.
Matthew.
I can't do it. I'm sorry. I got another confession
And Van.
Gatorade Zero.
I'm so sorry.
Alright, well, you all excited to hear what today's albums are that we're going to be listening to?
Yes!
Alright, spoiler alert, there aren't going to be any, Foo Fighters or Nirvana or Dave Grohl today. I'm sorry, guys.
No.
I don't want to think about that.
My favorite, I don't know.
Alright, well.
I'm sorry. Go on.
Alright, today's albums are Crack in the Skye by Mastodon and After the Gold Rush by Neil Young. And we're going to first reactions, and of course, as usual, we are going to be starting with you, Ben. What are your first initial impressions on these albums?
I like After the Gold Rush. I already know that album. So, yeah, that's a good album. It has, of course, many excellent songs. Most notably, Subtle Man, that we have talked about extensively in the Best Guitarist episode of the Rock Band Table. Crack in the Sky by Mastodon, I don't know what, is that prog rock? I don't know what that is, I'm sorry.
Alright, Matthew.
I've heard the Neil Young album. I thought it was decent, and I've never heard of that one.
Alright, Fan.
I have heard of both of these albums.
Alright, and as for me, well, I've of course heard, After the Gold Rush many times. Good album by Neil Young, although not my favorite of his. And, as for Crack in the Sky by Mastodon, I don't even think I know Mastodon, so, much less the album Crack in the Sky, so, the main thing I know about Mastodon is the band that has the album Crack in the Sky that we're going to be listening to here in just a bit. So, let's just leave it at that. Alright. Well,
let's listen to the albums.
We're going to go listen to the albums and we'll be right back. Alright everyone, we are back and we have listened to the albums. As usual, we are about to give our thoughts on them. And the first album was Crack the Sky by Mastodon. And as usual, we'll start with you, Ben. What were your thoughts on this album?
I thought it was an alright album, but it was alright. I mean, the heavy metal was good, but none of the songs really stood out to me that much. I mean, the Zol did, but that's just because of how long it is. I mean, I guess the last bell is longer, but by and large, it just got washed over me. And I know it does have themes relating to, feels like Russia? Like Tsarist Russia? I mean, we have Karelia, which is a region of Russia, and also Finland. A song, like a suite about the Tsar. But I did not exactly absorb maybe all of its content in that regard. Like, if this album has a story, I did not get it. I think it might, but I didn't really get it. But it was alright. Like, I enjoyed listening to it. But I can't really say it stood out to me that much. I do appreciate its ambition, though.
Alright, Matthew.
I thought this album was fine. I kind of didn't find anything too offensive about it. I don't think it was a song particular for me that I was like, I would go back to it. However, I didn't find this album to be disagreeable. Um, and that is my thoughts on it.
Dan?
I think this album is a masterpiece. I think this is one of the greatest albums ever made, probably. I mean, a psychedelic, progressive metal record where it all just kind of, brings you into its own world. It's a record that you can listen to 10, 20, 30 times and pick something new out of. There's always something you can find in it. Each track has its own things, where there's a guitar riff and they change just like one or two notes after like playing it 8 times, just like to just slightly change things. So many little variations, bigger variations, bringing back riffs from previous songs, bringing back themes, telling a great story about pretty much traveling through the cosmos, pretty much. It's something weird like that. It's definitely a concept album. There are definitely themes throughout. I mean, I think this album is one of the greatest ever recorded.
Oh, well, as for my thoughts, I don't know how to exactly follow up that praise that Van just gave, or the comments that Ben and Matthew just gave, but I think I more agree with Ben and Matthew. I listened to this album, and, well, right before I listened to this album, Ben looked it up, and he said something to me on the phone, like, oh, this is like metal, and I was like, oh, okay. And then I pulled up the album, put my headphones on, sat down, started listening to it. I was like, yeah, this is. And it's like, sounds about like I expected from the moment when Ben told me it was metal. Now, when I first saw its name, I thought it was prog, but the moment Ben told me it was metal, I kind of imagined what it would sound like as a metal album with the name Crack the Skye by Mastodon. Despite never having heard Mastodon before, it sounded exactly like I thought it would. I didn't find anything I could really pick out as particularly good. On the other hand, I do think it was competently delivered. I couldn't pick out anything particularly bad. I do think it was overall pretty solidly delivered. Which just put it above quite a few albums we've listened to on here before. But I couldn't say I could really pick out anything that really popped out at me, in terms of like, oh, this is great. Or even really a single song. It all flowed together in a sort of way, which is a good thing, I guess, in a way. But there wasn't any moment I really could, like, As for what fans said about you can listen over and over again, probably true, honestly, for me. I barely even remember most of this album, even after having just listened to it, like, a day or two ago. And I mean, it's certainly not the sort of thing that would get old or overly repetitive very fast. I mean, it's not like the sort of thing that would, like, drone on in my mind or anything. I mean, it probably would sound good again. I don't think it's an album I'm in any danger of being annoyed by, even if I listen to it a dozen times. I also don't think, though, it's really an album that I'm in danger of being thrilled by either. Alright, does anyone else have anything they wish to say about Crack the Skye?
I do want to say this is definitely a prog album. It isn't just a metal record. This is definitely a progressive metal album.
Yeah, it's definitely...
For the record.
It's definitely prog metal. What I was trying to say, just for clarification, was... Initially I thought it was prog, just like prog rock. Then Ben told me it was metal, and then I imagined it as being kind of like prog metal, and it sounded like that. It sounded basically like I expected in that tone, but I wasn't trying to say it wasn't prog. I was just trying to say, initially I thought it was just prog without the metal part, and then Ben was like, oh, this is metal, and it's like, oh, so this is prog metal. Alright, moving on. The next album was After the Gold Rush by Neil Young. Ben, we're going to start with you. What were your thoughts on this album?
Anyway, After the Gold Rush, I've heard this album before. It's not my favorite Neil Young album, but it's still a pretty strong album. It's one of his better ones. The best song on it is, unsurprisingly, Shovel Man. If you want to go back and listen to the Best Guitarist episode, we discussed that extensively there. And that would be an episode of the Rock Roundtable on that album club. But I would say also Only Love Can Break Your Heart. That's the album big standout track to me. But altogether, I do really enjoy this album. But I am favorably disposed, not dispossessed, disposed to Neil Young to begin with.
Alright, well, we're moving on to you, Matthew. What are your thoughts on this album?
Well, as someone who is very much a skeptic of the praise that Neil Young has gotten, like, I think he straight up is not a good singer, I actually really enjoyed this album. I think Southern Man is the highlight of this album. It says a lot. It needs to stay in kind of the condemnation of, like, Southern, like, kind of sub-beliefs that aren't good, essentially, and just like all around this album is like very good. I think it's my favorite Neil Young album. It does not have my favorite Neil Young song, but it's a lot of great tracks. You know, the title track, Only Love Can Break Your Heart, Southern Man, Oh Lonely Me, Don't Let It Bring You Down, all that stuff. It's just really good, well paced, and I give it a thumbs up.
Alright, Fan?
So, the first couple songs I was listening to, and I was like, man, this album isn't very good. You know, you keep an open mind, but after the first two songs, I was like, I'm not really digging this so far. Surprised this is like one of the most critically acclaimed albums ever. And then by the third song, I was like, okay, this is getting a little bit better, but still not great. Then once Southern Man kicked in, I think everything from then on out was a home run. I think the first three songs were almost like a primer. You know, once the full band kicked in on the third one, things kind of started to get into gear. And then from Southern Man on, I think this record is excellent. This is a great album. I like I said, wasn't a huge fan at the beginning, but after that, I don't think there was a single bad song on it. I mean, everything was fantastic. Till the Morning Comes is one I really liked a lot. I know it's like just like a 1 minute song at the end of side one, but that one really stuck out to me for whatever reason. There was just a lot of great tunes on this album. I mean, there's not really much else you can say. It's definitely earned its stature.
Alright. Well, as for me, as I said, I've heard of this album before. I think this is a great one. I like it better than Harvest, but not quite as much as Everyone Knows This Is Nowhere, or, I think it's At the Beach, not On the Beach, although I always get it wrong, and Matthew will correct me here in a minute, but, those are my two favorite Neil Young albums, so this one's pretty close afterwards. I'd say songs that are highlights are After the Gold Rush, Only Love Can Break Your Heart, Southern Man, Don't Let It Bring You Down, and I Believe in You. I don't think any of you mentioned I Believe in You, but that's a good one. Sometimes they play that at the mall, I think. Yeah, Matthew says it's On the Beach. I got it wrong. Alright, well, yeah, but yeah, After the Gold Rush, the whole album is really quite good. Some of the songs I do like better than others, but it is overall, I think, very solid, with those songs I just mentioned in particular being highlights, and that's a good number of highlights, too. I certainly, I think, consider more songs on this album to be highlights than, I know some of you listed less number of songs than I did. I will say, I do think the best song on the album, and perhaps Young's entire career, is Southern Man. The only other song I really think could be considered maybe a contender for best Neil Young song other than it is Like a Hurricane from American Stores and Bars, but Southern Man, I usually tend to err on the side of that one being the better one, just because it has kind of a social commentary as well as like the great musical element. But yeah, that's about it. It's a great album. It's one of Neil Young's best. It's not my absolute favorite by him, but it's up there. But yeah.
Yeah, one song I wanted to bring up was "Don't Let It Bring You Down." I was trying to remember the name while I was talking. I couldn't remember. I didn't want to look it up. That song, I think, was probably my favorite on the record. I thought the chord progression was excellent.
Alright, moving on. We're now going to say which album we liked better. We're going to start with you, Ben. Which album did you like better, Crack the Skye or After the Gold Rush?
After the Gold Rush.
Matthew?
After the Gold Rush.
Fan?
Crack the Skye.
And I am, of course, I think you know how this is going, I am voting for After the Gold Rush. Interesting, honestly, result we got here. Me, Ben, and Matthew usually tend to have at least some degree of polarization among us, but clearly when listening to Crack the Skye, all three of us came out with basically the same exact opinion. Like, I don't think there's anything Ben or Matthew said that I didn't agree with. As a fan, I guess he's all sort of all loner here, or kind of opposing side. So, yeah, I mean, very interesting pairing. I'd be lying if I said I didn't find it a little one-sided, but that's just me. Your mileage may vary. And I'd certainly never heard of Mastodon before, so it's interesting to get to hear one of our albums. Now we're going to be revealing who picked what album. Does anyone want to take a guess as to who picked what?
Fan picked the Mastodon album, and either Ben or Chris picked the Neil Young album.
Alright, and that's just about right. Fan picked Mastodon's Crack the Skye, and Ben picked After the Gold Rush. Alright, well that about wraps it up on another great episode of Album Club. I certainly had fun with this one, kind of. I mean, as I said, I wasn't too thrilled by that one album, but I do think I generally enjoyed getting to hear it for the first time, even if it wasn't like the world's best. In my opinion, of course. Fan does not endorse my message. But yeah, if you like this sort of kind of style of kind of knee-jerk commentary or whatever, please be sure to like and subscribe. It does help all of us out a lot. Thank you for watching, and once again, I'll see you in the next video. Have a great rest of your night.